50 snaps, Pro Football Focus, highest graded returning SEC wide receivers. Now, number one, this is a no-doubter.
No.
In fact, I think he's only got the score that he has that's lower than I thought it would be because he's not over 6 feet tall.
I would think that's fair.
I think
would
that's
agree with
probably why. But Luther Burden is a game changer. And I promise you, I would be willing to bet of the top 10 tampered with players, he was up there.
Yeah, him, Evan Stewart, you would have been going after him. Yeah.
Like those guys, like I promise you, like the friend of the coach or whoever was just like, hey, I know that you guys had a great season in Columbia, but you know where's great? Texas, or whatever. I'm not like specifically making accusations there. I'm just saying
Texas likes to go and get receivers.
But,
they do.
We don't I honestly would not be surprised. Like, if he was maybe the top one because of all the different things that he does and the versatility he brings to an offense. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if my school did it. Like, they've kind of been accused of that.
Yeah,
and
they got a track record.
So, I don't think there's a lot of the power schools that don't. Like, there can be coaches that say that I don't do that.
You got somebody doing it.
But nobody's going out there and saying that we don't do that at all because you have no idea, especially if one of these works out for you and you'll be like, how did you get that guy? And you'll be like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You don't need to know. You don't need to know. You don't need to know. Like, the less you know, the better. He's here. Nobody's going to say anything about it. It just is what it is. But, there's a guy on the staff who I promise you does not have the qualms about that.
No.
At all. Which is why you don't hear a lot of people being directly called out. Which is why when the Utah State thing happened, not Utah State, Southern Utah happened, and their coach got hit for tampering, I was like, well.
Really?
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
But Luther Burden, I would promise you, was tampered with. Like Jordan Addison was tampered with.
Yes.
Absolutely. But he's number one. No doubt about that. Trey Harris at number two. Okay. Like, I can kind of buy that. That team, is going to put up a lot of points. He's got good measurables. CJ Daniels had a great year where he was a year ago and now
Liberty.
comes into LSU at Liberty. But then I kind of get lost in the fog here with the rest of them.
Yeah, when I'm looking at this, well, for me, first thing I noticed was where's Kyron Lacey? Like, you would think if an LSU receiver would be put on this list, it would be Kyron Lacey who's going to be there. He's going to be your top returning receiver this year. He's the next in the next lineage of players coming out, and he's shown that he could prove it. Whereas if you look at Daniels, while the numbers he put up at Liberty were ridiculous, when they played an actual opponent, that whole team was shut down. Like, they couldn't do anything. So I need to see him do it. And then kind of looking at this, like, you're telling me nobody from Texas? Like, Texas has no receiver that would make this list?
Isaiah
Bond?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That kind of is concerning. For Andrew Anthony to be on here at Oklahoma, I'm pretty sure there's another receiver at Oklahoma that's better than that. I have a lot of questions about once you get past, honestly, Harris. Once you get past there, I have some questions. Like Eugene Wilson, okay, Florida. I know this is about players, but for these people to have the success, it's going to take a team effort. And I don't know anybody at Florida, especially if they're having two receivers on here, are going to have a breakout season at all this year.
Yeah. So Juice Wells is not on it because he played just 3 games last year for South Carolina. But
dude, I would put Theo Weiss above some of these people.
Yeah. Isaiah Bond, we mentioned him. I'm just looking around at some of the other guys that you would think would be on there, and it's surprising to me. Where they went on this, and look, Jabre Barber had a great year last year before he transferred in to A&M, and that's great, but. Also, A&M's got a couple good wide receivers that are coming back, you know. If I could tell you anything about Jared Brown and Trent Hudson and Gage Lavardian, like, I really can't. You know, like I know them, but like I would not put them over the list. And Elijah Badger transfers into Florida from Arizona State. And so we'll see. The last transfer worked out well for them in Ricky Pearsall. I mean, he was kind of one of the only things they really had going.
He was so good.
Yeah, that they really had going. I think he's going to be you've probably heard me on the top fives talk about that. But, yeah, not to have Isaiah Bond on this list who –
yeah, that makes no sense to me.
Yeah, who, especially down the stretch last year in Alabama, was such a huge reason why they were able to kind of break out of their, like, just offensive funk that they were in. He and Milroe were so good together. And, look, he and Ewers, I think, are going to be good together.
Yeah.
But – you know, I know that like a couple of the guys at Texas don't have that like level of probably 250 snaps from a year ago, but Isaiah Bond, I would think, would have 250
I would think
snaps.
At this point, Isaiah Bond has 250 snaps. Trying to think of other people in the SEC. Like Arkansas doesn't really have a breakout receiver. Let's see.
Yeah. Auburn doesn't. Georgia's got a couple guys who I'm curious about for sure. And you know, but Texas, like Isaiah Bond, Matthew Golden, did he not play 250 snaps? He was injured.
He was injured. He got injured like the third game of the year, I think, for Houston and missed.
Silas Bolden,
he would have. I would think he has 250 snaps.
Yeah, I would think so too, given how good he was. But yeah, I would. I mean, Theo Weiss needs to be on this list. Deion Burks, that's at Oklahoma now, that transferred in from Purdue, needs to be on this list to me. You know, I don't know about Ray Thomas, Dominic Lovett are the starters. You know, at Georgia, Colby Young transferred in from Miami. You know, we'll see on those. I mean, here's what I say we'll see. They'll be great. They'll be fine. They'll make lots of plays. Last year, Georgia just had some guys that caught most of the passes that maybe overshadowed them. Like when you've got if Ladd McConkey's playing in a game, he's going to catch 11 passes. But just kind of how it is. And, you know, Tennessee's got a bunch of new ones. Brew McCoy's their most experienced one coming back, but I'm not surprised that he's not on that list. So.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a name. I mean, he can make some catches, but his whole catalog hasn't put up enough stats to be on here.
But for A&M, like, you know, Jabre Barber is like their fourth wide receiver right now behind Jade Walker, Noah Thomas, and Moose Muhammad.
Yeah, I mean, Moose, like, see, that's what.
I mean, they're probably hurt overall by their really stupid offense that they had. Like probably hurt over that.
That's the whole reason Stewart left. Evan Stewart's because of that offense.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's just weird to me to see like, and again, I would put Moose Muhammad on this list over Jabre Barber. Personally, not to say that he doesn't belong on the list, but it is surprising to me to see, you know, like how they grade him and where they put these guys. And, you know, maybe those guys didn't have the snaps that I'm thinking of, but even then, like, you know, Isaiah Bond not being on the list.
He's got to be on it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. He is such a difference maker last year for Alabama, and it took them a minute to, like, you know, kind of get out of their own way. But once they did, they did. And, you know, like everybody, you know, we kept thinking, like, there's going to be another shoot or drop after that Texas game, and they just fought. They didn't lose until the end.
Nope.
I mean, they didn't lose until the end. They just kept going and going and going and figuring it out, and almost won one for Saban on the way out the door. So, and Isaiah Bond was a huge part of that. To not, let me look back. Let me look at here's the other thing. I know that they're full of transfers, but there's probably one on their roster too that I would think might belong. No, not yet. They're pretty new at that position, or guys stepping up. So, yeah. So no, I think it's probably right for them not to have one on the list for the first time in God knows how long that they would have been on this list, because that's been wide receiver for a minute. When we come back, the top